And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our second broadcast of the night, to our third broadcast of the day. We were live earlier today with IM Katowice North American qualifiers. Then we followed it up with the OSC Community Open, which we just wrapped up. And now we are here with WTL, with World Team League, with day number 3 of round 10 of the Codes season here, of the winter season. We are here with KaiZi Gaming versus Matcherino Esports. Let's go. KaiZi Gaming, of course, being one of the stronger teams, one of the bigger teams in this league. Matcherino, they're around the middle of the pack. They're in the middle of the pack, but they are looking to fight back strong here. We start things off with Nightmare versus Oliveira in a TVP. Let us go. The TVPs continue. We just had a TVP in the finals of the SC2 Online Community Open, but that was a very different kind of TVT. That was very chaotic, a lot of cheese, a lot of aggression, a lot of 2-base all-ins, and even 1-base all-ins. But here, things should be a little bit more standard. And here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corners of Alcione. We have Nightmare for Matcherino. And in the bottom left, we have for KaiZi Gaming, it is Oliveira. Here we go. So I expect a very different Terran versus Protoss this time. Something a little bit more by the book and standard and straight up, but we'll see. Nightmare can be quite an aggressive player himself, but Nightmare has achieved quite a lot of accolades, actually. When it comes to Terran players that he's brought down, Nightmare, he's beaten Clem, he's beaten Beyond, he's beaten Gumiho. I do want to go as far as to say that Nightmare, his best matchup is Terran versus Protoss. So even though on paper Oliveira is the favorite player, Oliveira, he is the reigning world champion. Nightmare can cause an upset. He can take it to Oliveira. I do want to believe. What does ELO mean? ELO is like their MMR. It's their standings based on their performances in WTL. I think currently, as well, a big shout out to the sponsors of WTL of World Team League. Shout out to Doyu, Honkai Star, Tidal, and Autofull. Without these lovely sponsors, always we do pan over to our other logos. Without these lovely sponsors, WTL, Masters Coliseum, and Kung Fu Cup would not be a thing. It would not be possible. So big shout out here. Even a Honkai Star, you know, getting the weebs involved. Uwu, baby, uwu. For those wondering, what is the ELO? Again, the players do have their own kind of MMR rankings in WTL based on their performances in World Team League. You know, it is based solely on how well they've done, whether they've won or lost against certain players. And I believe MMR has the highest MMR, or he has the highest ELO. He's got like just under 1,000. I think Cyril is just below him. I think Cyril is number 2 because Cyril has been actually losing more games in WTL than Maru. So Maru is currently the highest rated player, followed by Cyril. And yeah, it's just a fun way for our organizers to kind of gauge the strength of players and gauge their strength coming into these matches and coming into these games. But for now, we're getting into our opener. Again, a Gate, a Cyber Expand here from Nightmare. Nothing too fancy. Likewise, Oliveira going for his own economic opener as well. Going for a Rax Expand into a factory. So only a single gas opener from Oliveira. So everything is looking normal and by the book here from both players. Nothing too aggressive, nothing too fancy, nothing too out of the norm. Not yet. As a Reaper is going to be forced back, just trying to dip on forward. There's a safety shield battery in the main base. We have our tech of choice, and Nightmare, he is going for a Twilight Council. Okay, here we go. Twilight Council is on the way here for Nightmare. With that, this is most likely going to be a Blink-based opener. I say most likely. We saw earlier Cristiano was playing around with Dark Templar, but that was, you know, more of a fringe case that is not of the norm. So Blink should be on the way here. Just a good way to gain map control and to shut down any kind of drop play and to take control of Alcione in general. Meanwhile, the Adept is across the map, denying some mining time. At the same time, Reaper dips into the main, into the natural, but there is a Stalker in position and the Reaper is forced out. So good deflection by Nightmare. Likewise, a good amount of damage is being done as well, just denying mining at the natural. Finally, the Adept is forced out and Oliveira can resume mining at his own natural base. Behind this, it's a 1-1-1 follow-up from the Terran. He's going to be going for a mine drop. As Oliveira goes for a mine drop, we do see Nightmare going for 2 more gateways, so it's going to be a 3-gate Blink opener with a Robo alongside it to reinforce with a War Prism to get across the map to be a little bit active. Get observers out, more importantly. So yeah, pretty standard opener as well. I say standard. Basically, 3-gate Blink is a way to gain map control. It's not really to be overly aggressive, but it's a way to be safe as well. There are greedier variations, like going for 2-gate, for example, 2-gate Blink into a 3rd, but Nightmare, he's playing it safe. Playing it safe here, going for 3 gateways. Meanwhile, here comes that mine drop. Now, it's only a single widow mine. What does this tell us? One, that's obviously we're getting our factory into tank production a lot faster. We're not wasting time on widow mines. We're not really concerned with dealing economic damage. This is more designed to scout. Oliveira's in the dark. Oliveira has not been able to see whether it's a Stargate or a Twilight Council, how many gateways, whether there's a third. Oliveira has no idea what's happening. So he needs this widow mine drop to scout more than anything, more than deal damage. We have Hellions moving out, checking the third base location, trying to see if Nightmare had gone for something more economic. He does see the linear third over on the left-hand side. Is aware that his opponent isn't playing two base, so already just gathering some information, trying to piece it all together. We do have interference matrix on the way that's stable for that Raven production as well. And the mine drop is looking to make its way towards the main. Until then, though, again, Oliveira, he's just building himself up on two bases, getting into a 3-1-1 setup. 3 Vaxes, 1 factory, 1 starport. Meanwhile, ooh, we have our splash damage of choice. We are going for a Templar Archives. Okay. So it's going to be Blink into Charge Lot Archon, not Blink into Colossus, which is another more kind of almost common variation, common tech path. So no Colossi for now, but there's Charge on the way and soon Archons as well. And then potentially Storm afterwards. Meanwhile, Nightmare's pushing out. Remember we said before that because he has Blink Stalkers, he has map control, he's moving out, he's looking to try to contain his opponent, maybe dip into the main if he sees an opportunity. Meanwhile, that's quite a gateway explosion. That's going to be 8 gates in total. 3 are already done, 5 are on the way. Storm in production, Blink Stalkers dipping into the main base, but Oliveira is in position. Does lose a Marine, but only a single Marine as he does force back that drop. Meanwhile, the Widow Mine drop still hasn't gone into the main base of his opponent. Oliveira, he already saw what he needed to, though. Like, he saw the third base. He saw the third base being taken. He saw the delay on this push, so he knows it's 3-gate. He knows that the Nexus was delayed, so it's not a 2-gate opener. And he knows that, of course, it was thrown down a little bit earlier, so he knows it wasn't 4 gateways. Just right down the middle. So Oliveira knows he's safe. He still needs to scout the follow-up, because he doesn't know if it's going to be Colossus or Storm. That's something important that he has to piece together. Alien Mumbai gets shut down. Observer sees everything, but it looks like we have found it. Oh, or have we? The Observer just barely survived. Blink Soul, because they do dive in towards the natural, but they shouldn't get much done. They chip away at the eBay, but not much else. Because Oliveira is going to be able to maintain himself, his bases, his economy, and now he's pushing. As he moves out, third CC's on the way. So Oliveira is not all in. He's expanding behind it. His role here, his goal here even, is to apply pressure to his opponents, maybe get some damage done at the third. We trade with the army. So we do have a double drop moving out on the right-hand side. That mine drop is still over on the right as well. And here we go, we're coming in. Oh, late reaction. Oh, as mine shot goes off and 2 workers go down. Very nicely done. And here comes the double drop. The follow-up drop here to reinforce that Widow Mine. We shut down the Morphing and Warp Prism. We get into the mineral line. Warp Prism? Shield Battery is what I meant to say. Workers are getting picked off at the same time. The main army going for the 4th. And Nightmare, he's being pulled apart. That's a kill, not a cancel on the 4th Nexus. Storm will connect. But the Marines are saved. The Order Heart's going ham on those Zealots. Raven barely does escape. And we can even threaten the natural. Again, Nightmare just was not ready for the multi-prong attack. Was not ready whatsoever, and again, his Nexus did go down. His entire mineral line, Mine Shot's going to be going off, and we can fight this. Good splits. We avoid most of the storms. Overcharge is popped. Oliveira, he does maintain this position, going straight for the third. He finds a High Templar. He gets one. High Templar goes down. He gets into the mineral line as well. Ay, ay, ay. Tank still stands strong. 7 more workers go down. The splits once again against the storm. Still, though, it looks like Oliveira is going to get cleaned up, but Nightmare, economically, he is hurting. He's down in workers. The drop comes back in. We lose the medevac and the Raven, though. Oliveira overextending a little bit here. Does bleed out quite a bit. Losing the tank. Nightmare, the game is going to be settling from here, but Nightmare, the problem is that he's even on bases. He is down in workers. Plus, Mules, Oliveira does have an economic lead. On top of that, Nightmare also lost a bunch of High Templar. It wasn't like he was able to clean up the army with only taking economic losses. No, he lost High Templar as well. I think he has 3 High Templar remaining, but the drop comes back in. It comes back in. More workers going down. This forces Nightmare to turn everything back around into the main base. Again, Oliveira is pulling him apart. Meanwhile, back at home, Oliveira getting ready for his push. We got Ghosts, we got EMPs, Widow Mines, Marines, Stim +1. Concussive Shell is on the way. And you can see the economic graph there, deep in favor of Oliveira. Does have that economic lead. And he is committed, he is pushing. Now he has to still respect the storms. There's still 3 High Templar in that War Prism. Because they're in the prism, they are protected by the EMPs. EMPs cannot touch them. So Oliveira, he has to be careful with how he pushes in. Does force back the army for a moment. Does rotate around, outpositions his opponents. Oh, the EMPs, the mines as well. Big EMPs on the Stalkers. The Vikings coming to zone away the prism. By Templar, they're still standing strong. There's still a lot of them in that prism as well. So far, the storm's not too bad. Ooh, better storm here towards the end, actually. But Oliveira, he's rallying across the map. Oh my, the splits! The splits every single time. Ooh, until the end here, though. As he does stand in that storm a little bit too long, but we are running out of storm. And outside of High Templar, what do we have left? We have 2 Zealots, 1 Archon. The Zealots got cleaned up. The Archon got cleaned up. Only High Templar remain. And Oliveira, he's not slowing down, still just rallying everything across the map. The mine shots are resetting. No. They are resetting as well. We do have a wave of reinforcing Zealots, though. But the Prism, it's going to go down to the Vikings. We have another couple of storms left over. But alas, it's not going to be enough. It looks like Nightmare has been broken. Oliveira breaks through into the 3rd base, overcharges pop, but it's not going to keep anything alive. The High Templar, they're just too fragile. And there's nothing to support them. The Archon goes down even through the overcharge. Widowmine shots going off in the mineral line. And Oliveira is looking to take a lead in this series. GG gets called. Oliveira will take game number 1. GG. Again, things were kind of cool, calm, and collected for a bit there, and then things popped off when Oliveira went for the drop. When he went for the mine drop into the main, and then committed with the double drop, then had his other army just outside, getting a kill on the 4th base, getting workers, the mineral lines, the probes, the trades. Once Oliveira got the ball rolling, did not stop. GG. And of course, behind all of that was getting his 3rd saturated and also taking up into Ghosts. So Oliveira just not missing a beat there. Very impressive. Very impressive. Very fast play. GG. Well played. Oof. GG. When it comes to the micro, I see in the chat, micro, the splits, mate, it wasn't until towards the end. Towards the end of that game, we saw some storms actually connect with the bio. But until the end of the game, like, there were like, what, a good 3, 4, 5 storms that Oliveira was able to just avoid for the most part and split against. And it was impressive. Just really impressive stuff. Really fast play. Meanwhile, it is Nightmare's map pick. For those that are curious about the format, the first map is predetermined by the organizers, and then the second map is loser's pick, which means no vetoes. 0 vetoes here for the players. So we get to see Radisson Station more often than not, as that is going to be typically the Protoss map pick here, whether it's against Zerg or against Terran, and that is where Nightmare looks to fight back. Let's go. Let us go. Radisson Station is going to be coming out. A map known for its greed, its late game, its macro, its economy. For those that are curious, maybe you haven't seen it before. If you watch mainly even Premier StarCraft, maybe you haven't. I don't think they've even cast it on Radisson Station. Like, like during the IM qualifiers, I think we saw this like once or twice, or even in DreamHacks. It's not really seen. It's commonly vetoed. Now, there is a pocket base. There's a pocket base leading next to the natural as a 3rd. There is no Reaper Cliff leading into the main. There's a gold base out there. There's a secure 4th base as well. You can get away with a lot on Radisson Station. But at the same time, the Terran can also get away with a lot. And something that's going to be burned in my skull, burned in my mind, is what happened a couple of days ago. In day 1, this is day 3 of round 10. Day 1 of round 10, I highly recommend checking out the VODs. I highly recommend checking out Onside versus Shopify. There was a thing of beauty there, and I'll get into it after we introduce the players. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have Nightmare for Matcherino. And in the top right, we have his opponent. We have Oliveira for Dragon KaiZi Gaming. People asking, best of what? Best of 2. This is a best of 2. Overall, the Team League match is a best of 7, which means first to 4 wins. But between the players, it's best of 2s, which means we can have 2-0s or even a tied 1-1 score. Ties are a thing in WTL. But when it comes to my suggestion of watching day 1, check out the VODs. It was Onside versus Shopify, Maru versus Hearthstone. Maru won game 1. Hearthstone, his map pick was Razza Station, of course. Hearthstone is a Protoss. And we had a TVP on Razza Station, and Maru ramped it up to 11 when it came to greed. He out-greeded Hearthstone. Hearthstone was getting into Skytoss. Maru went triple Starport Mass BC. Mass BC against Hearthstone. He got away with it. It was towards the end of the game. It was Mass Viking BC against Tempest, and Maru had his way with Hearthstone. Just looked dominant there in the late game. Maxed out Sky Terran versus Sky Toss, and it just goes to show what you can get away with here on Razza Station as well, even as a Terran player. That's only if everyone's being greedy. Now, the other way you can approach Razza Station, I'm talking a lot about how greedy you can be, and that's true, you can be very greedy, but you can also be the polar opposite. If you anticipate that your opponent is cutting corners, if you anticipate that your opponent is mass expanding, taking a fast third base, a fast fourth base, taking up quite greedily, if you can identify that, then we have seen some big 2-base all-ins. We've seen some very aggressive play here just to try to punish the greed of the opposing player. It can be difficult. We've also seen all-ins fail quite often as well on Razza Station. There's a lot of defenders advantage, so it's difficult. It's still very difficult to try to punish a player that's being too greedy, but possible. It is possible. Especially based on how many corners they cut and how greedy they are. For now, though, it is going to be a Gate Cyber Expand from our Protoss into a Stargate Opener. As to be expected, this can lead into Skytoss. This doesn't have to, but Skytoss is, or rushing into a Fleet Beacon and into Skytoss is not unheard of on Razza Station. Quite a common strategy to go for. Meanwhile, the Adept is going to be threatening a shade across the map, does meet up with the Reaper. Interesting that Oliveira still went for the Reaper. Reapers are usually skipped on this map just because there's no cliff leading into the natural. So it's quite difficult to actually get a scout off. Not impossible, but again, quite difficult. So yeah, really interesting that Oliveira invested. Behind this, we do have a 2-1-1 setup here. We have our second Rax. We have our we have our first Starport as well. Interesting build. Very interesting. So this is actually quite aggressive. Oliveira, instead of rushing into a third base, which you can get away with, he's going for what looks to be a medevac timing with Mass Marines. We'll see if we get a Tech Lab on that Rax, and if we go up to a 3-1-1 setup. I'm curious. There it is. Tech Lab is on the way. Going to be starting things off with that Widow Mine first. Marine's going to be trying to vie for control here, and the Adept does not quite make it in. Medevac drop is on the way. There's that Tech Lab on that Rax, and we should be rushing into Stim. So yeah, prioritizing Stim in this way is not really done too often in this matchup. Usually you prioritize tank production, for example, or even Ravens and Banshees. Oh, the Adept gets in! No shot. The Adept does slip into the main base. Big scout here for Nightmare. At the same time, Oracle dives into the natural. We get 3-4 Marines, almost every single one, but the Oracle is forced back. Meanwhile, I believe the Adept saw the opener. I believe the Adept did see the 2-1-1. So yeah, we're just rushing into Stim, which means we're going to be hitting quite a strong timing here with that upgrade for Oliveira. Mind Shot goes off. Adept does finally go down. But yeah, we're working up Marines. We're working on a tank count. What's interesting is that we're not going for a reactor on the starport. So we just have a medevac, but only a single medevac for the time being. Meanwhile, Nightmare back at home, working towards his third. Now, how committed is this push going to be? Is Oliveira only going to move out with his Marines, or is he going to push with his tanks as well? That's what I'm curious about. There's that third Rax on the way, so we do have our 3-1-1 setup. Stim is finishing, +1 is on the way. This should be leading into combat shields. Second medevac is coming out. We do get the revelation on the production. Very nicely done here by Nightmare. the Revelation. Ideally, he gets an eye on the move out. Speaking of, Oliveira is going to be pushing. This is lined up with Stim, and he is pushing with his tank. I was really curious. If he was going to keep his tank back at home, but no, it's coming with the army. So a very dedicated push. And again, this is hitting just in time for Stim. Ooh, and this is a very abusable position. The tank is within range of the mineral line. Just barely. We just need high ground vision. There it is. We do get it. Marines, they do ferry up into the national base. Widowmine's going to be burrowing as well. We do pick up the tank, though. Mindshot does take out the Phoenix. Tank lands, and we go to town here onto the Gateway Army. And barely shutting down one of those Stalkers. The Stargate, the shield battery as well. There's still a handful of Stalkers left, and it looks like we should hold on. The Phoenix goes down. Good control out of Oliveira, juggling to the low ground. Oh, is going to be losing one of those medevacs, but big tank volleys off onto that Stalker. Yeah, on the mineral line as well. We have reinforcements on the way. Oliveira, he doesn't want to give up on this position. Remember, he reset the Phoenix count. There's no good answer for the tank. We will be repositioning, though. We meet up with the rest of the reinforcements. Now, Oliveira isn't all in. He's getting a third CC behind this, but still very aggressive play here from the Terran. He's working on his third. Nightmare working on his charge. Third Nexus getting up and running. Nightmare, he still has a solid economy. It's looking okay. But again, Oliveira hoping to try to catch Nightmare with his pants down. Can he catch the Stalkers? Oh. Does get one. Nice pickoff. Tank is sieging. Overcharge is popped. Nightmare barely does snipe that medevac. Nice pickoff there from our Protoss player. Focusing down those Widow Mines as well. Does take some tank shots to the face, so that one tank has gotten so much value here. As we still on forward up the ramp, Overcharge has run out, but we're also running out of Marines. Yeah, too many Stalkers, and it looks like Nightmare should clean up the tank and the army as well. Did I speak too soon? The Marauders, they're doing what they can, but they will fall. And Nightmare survives, and that was a very committed attack from Oliveira. Very committed. Losing his tank, losing his medevacs, his Widow Mines. Marines, they're not as important, but these high-tech units, these gas-intensive units, they're not cheap. But here we go. Nightmare now going for a counterattack. Oliveira does have the economic lead. He's up in workers plus mules, so he's ahead economically. He just needs to land his third CC on location, just for some more efficient mining. As Nightmare is breaking free, pushing out, gets a Marauder. Not bad. Gets one Marauder here at the natural. Threatening another dive. Behind this, Oliveira just building up his biomine army. Going for a mine drop here on the left-hand side. Nightmare is in the midst of taking his fourth base. Widow Mines are going to be burrowing. Oof. As Oliveira does force Nightmare back. Behind this, here come the mine drops. We have a mine drop into the third towards the main. We have another mine drop coming in towards the fourth as well. And potentially the natural. But the Stalkers are in position. We shut down one of those medevacs. No shots! The probes, they bunched up! No shots! 60, that was every worker at the pocket base! Ay, ay, ay. The observer's pointing it, yeah, oh my god, everything was fine, everything was okay. Nightmare, he had reacted fine, like beautifully to it. He shut down the medevac, he pulled back the workers, he avoided the mine shots. And he came back 1 second too soon. Oh my god. And just like that, Oliveira has a massive economic lead. And he's pushing. He's pushing, Papi. He's pushing P. Oh my god. And here we go. You have reinforcements on the way. Oliveira going for the kill move. You can see because of his economic lead that is reflected in the supplies. He's up 20-30 supply at this point. The army is spotted. But just because Nightmare sees it doesn't mean he can do anything about it. 1-1 is done. 2-2 on the horizon here for Oliveira. Widow Mines are sieging up. They are burrowing and they're going to go ham here on these Zealots. Oh, good target firing though. Nightmare cleans up the mines. Most of them anyway. Here we go. Going to be steaming on forward. We force the overcharge. Mine shot's going to be going off. Good stutter stepping here against the Zealots. The Zealots, they get cleaned up. And we're getting closer and closer to those Stalkers. As the overcharge is now running out for Nightmare. And we are getting a bit overstimmed. The bio army is being thinned out here. Nightmare, he's holding. He is holding on. A big part of this was, I think he killed like 3 Widowmines before they could burrow at the start of the fight. Oh, nice force fields as well, cutting up the army. Oh, that was a brutal mine shot though. And here comes the reinforcements. The second wave of Oliveira. He's not done. Nowhere close. He knows he's ahead. He knows he can break his opponent here and now. And we're running out of zealots. We don't have the overcharge. We don't have any more force fields available either. And it looks like Oliveira, he has too much. He's snowballing out of control. He's broken the fourth. And there's not much else that Nightmare has left. He could try to go for a counterattack. He has that War Prism across the map, but the Stalkers are going down. The Zealots as well. And GG gets called. Oliveira will take the 2-0. GG. Ooh. GG, well played. As Oliveira will take that 2-0 again off of the back of a juicy mine connection. It happened off screen, but we saw it there on the kill counts. 16 worker kills with 1 Widow mine. That was unfortunate. That's as juicy as a mine shot can really get, to be honest, and that was brutal. That was brutal. Regardless, GG, well played. Oliveira will take a 2-0 lead here for his team, but Matcherino can fight back. Up next, we have Astrea versus Dark in a PvZ, followed by Future versus Hero in a TVP. It's good to see Future back. Arrowfire has been competing for the past couple of weeks for Matcherino in Future's stead, but Future has returned, and he's in form off of the back of those IEM qualifiers. Future even going toe-to-toe with Classic earlier this morning, but now he's back up against Hero. For now, we're going to be going on a short break. When we return, Astrea versus Dark up next. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Ooh, we just wrapped up with our first best of 2 between Nightmare and Oliveira. And Oliveira, damn, looking strong, looking on point there. Was able to get the 2-0. Meanwhile, ooh, we are getting ready for our next best of 2. And Dark is looking suave, Papi. Look at that jacket. Oh my god. I wonder if that's an official DKZ jacket. I can see, I think there's a logo on his breast there, but I can't quite make out if it's... Oh, it is! That's a DKZ logo. That's a sick jacket, mate. It looks good. It looks good on Dark. Look, I just like V-necks, okay? I just like the V-neck, Papi. You gotta expose the chest. Let's go, Papi. Let's go. Very nice jacket there. Very nice jersey representation from Dark as we are getting ready here for our PvZ. Game 1 is going to be on site. Delta Astrea, of course, the best player in all the Americas. He is the reigning NA champion. And Astrea is going to be looking to try to fight back for his team. For Matcherino, in the top left-hand corner, we have Astrea for Matcherino Esports. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have Dark for Dragon KaiZi Gaming. Here we go. ZBH is upon us. Again, our players here, both of them were yawning, but it's not actually that late in Korea. What time is it in Korea? It's like 10 p.m. I think it's like 10 p.m. in Korea. And Astrea didn't have to be up early this morning to play an IEM. He got the seed into the closed qualifiers. So, yeah, I guess we're on that DGen sleep schedule where potentially. But for now, we're easing our way into this. Astrea going to be forcing out the unnatural natural from Dark, forcing that expansion taken at the third base location. As Astrea dips in towards the main base just to get a scout off, just to make sure that there's no early gases, no early spawning pools, no early aggression from Dark. And this is a wise choice here. Dark is a player that is willing to go for early gas timings. He's 12 fooled before, he's 12 fooled proxy hatched before as well. Dark is very aggressive in this matchup, so Astrea has to be on point with his scouting at all times. So here in the early game, he's able to get eyes on this and is aware of the opener from Dark. Meanwhile, in the chat, I'll shout to Rowdy. Rowdy. Hello, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Is Astrea in Korea? Oh, true. No, sorry, my apologies. I made an assumption there that Astrea was in Korea, but I believe Astrea is currently back in the United States, especially because of DreamHack Atlanta coming up as well. That also makes sense why he's in a different room. Usually he's in the room with the there's like an elliptical behind him. It looks like he's like in the attic, with like the ceiling that's close to his head. But yeah, he's in a very different room, so it would make sense if he was back at home with his family, at least until DreamHack Atlanta before going back to Korea. So that is something to consider actually, because that means that Astrea that means that he did just wake up. True. Very true. Meanwhile, behind this, we are getting into our openers. Our tech of choice is going to be the Stargate here from Astrea. Stargate opener should be to go into Oracles. Astrea does have a bit of a reputation, for good reason, for going for unorthodox playstyle, so we'll keep an eye on his production tab and on his build of choice. Astrea can play standard, don't get me wrong, but especially in this matchup as well, Astrea, he's so willing to be quirky and go for like a robo opener into like a Colossus drop, for example, or these like weird Glaive Adept timings, delayed upgrades. Like Astrea, he can be very unpredictable in his own right. So I think this is a really good matchup, actually. I think both players, they can both be unorthodox and also play standard. So can lead to a lot of variety here in this best of. And for now, Adepts are moving out and the Oracle is on the way. So everything's looking normal. Basically, I was hoping we would see a Void Ray first from Astrea, but it's not a Void Ray, it's going to be the Oracle. So he's looking for economic damage, should be getting a second Oracle behind this, and should be getting a third base up and running. So standard opener from our Protoss. Standard opener. Meanwhile, Dark back at home, just droning up, getting his third. Lings are moving out across the map to try to punish the third base. And the probe is there, but it is hidden behind the Adept. Oh, as I say, that probe does move out to expand. Dark does get eyes on this. He does see, he is aware. Meanwhile, yeah, Lings are getting in position. We do see Astrea moving out with his first Oracle. Second Oracle's on the way. Can Dark punish this? Can he try to force a cancel? He's going in. But good SimCity from Astrea. He does reduce surface area on his Adept. The Oracle gets across the map. We have two Queens here at the third base. The Natural's a bit exposed, but there's nothing to kill. Spore doesn't finish just yet. We do get one drone. We get two. Not bad. Not bad whatsoever. Two workers go down. Lings, they go for a big contact. They do work through that Adept. But the wall is a wall. Good crisis management out of Astrea, able to wall off just in time and warp in. That could have been disastrous. But Astrea, he holds. He gets his third up and running, and now we're transitioning. After the Oracle opener into third base, we have a Forge and a Twilight Council. Should be +1 and Blink. So this is a standard can get. Like, very meta play here from Astrea. Another Link counterattack working through that Adept. We are warping in behind it. The Oracles don't find any extra damage. You do wall off. But that's a kill on a second Adept. Not bad trades. Meanwhile, the Oracles, they come back. They get one drone before being forced out. So far, Dark minimizing his economic losses and also getting damage across the map. Behind this, we have a Lair on the way, +1 melee. Interesting. This could be Ling Hydra from Dark. This could be the beginnings of Ling Hydra. Gases are being taken. I don't think I saw a Roach Warren, not yet. But we could still throw one down. By the time we get to the halfway mark on that Lair, we can throw down a Roach Warren so we can start up Roach Speed as soon as the Lair finishes. Or we could go for Hydras. We'll see. We'll see what kind of direction Dark does take us. And there it is. There's that Roach Warren. So playing standard, not cutting any corners. If he were to go for Hydras, then he could be vulnerable against an earlier timing from Astrea. But he's just playing standard. Playing straight up. Going to be Lingbane Roach Ravager from Dark. Meanwhile, Astrea working on Blink and +1, as we mentioned previously. Again, very standard play from our Protoss. The question becomes how many gateways. If we invest a little bit harder into gateways, then Astrea can move out and be aggressive. Otherwise, he could go for a tech-heavy style. The Robo just finished, and we'll see if he throws down a Bay. If not, he could just double down on gateways and move out and try to punish the 4th base. And he is pushing out onto the map, but not with too much. There it is. Second Robo is on the way. The Robotics Bay as well. Astrea is going for a tech-heavy style. Lings are coming in for a surround, but the Stasis Trap does go off. Big Stasis Trap, the Stalkers. One of them does go down, but we're going to be able to hold the line. Trade against the Lings. Ooh, as Dark does not get another Stalker. So a good trade here from Astrea, as he does back off. And again, he is going double Robo Colossus production. With this, he's only posturing with a handful of Stalkers. He's going to be skipping a couple of Warpins here to be able to afford like a more Colossus heavy composition. Second Forge is on the way for more upgrades. And we should be taking a 4th. The goal here for Astrea is to take a 4th base and to, in a way, turtle up back at home. Meanwhile, Dark, he's been able to successfully join up to 75. He's being active with these links. He's looking for a cancel. He will force a cancel on the 4th. Very nicely done. Astrea, he's working on Colossi, but he doesn't have them yet. And Dark, he is committing. We have Roaches on the way. Drop the Lord towards the main. Lings threatening the 3rd. And Astrea, can he keep up? Because Dark, he is not joining up to 80. He's not taking additional gases. Not yet. He's not taking up into Hive either. Just committed to Lingbane Roach Ravager. Dark looking to max out. There it is. We have the drop going into the main base. Lings, they do threaten the 4th, but this time they don't get a cancel. Ooh, Dark heavily supplied. Look, that's 13 Overlords on the way. Oh my god. That's crazy. A brutal supply block here, especially when you're going for a Roach heavy composition. Roaches, they take up so much supply, and this will slow Dark down. Astrea, he's going to have that much extra time to prepare back at home. Lingbane is morphing in. Overlords are finally done. Drop Lord going into the main. And Dark is pushing. He's going for the 3rd. Colossi are in position. Bailing speed is done. We're diving on top of the Colossus. We get one! One Colossus goes down. And we're going to be able to get on top of the others. Oh no, we're not. The Bailings are getting to the mineral line. The probes fall. 18 dead workers. A very successful attack here from Dark. As he does back off. 18 dead workers and a Colossus. And he's not done. The 4th base looking exposed. Big Link counterattack, but okay, we got some Stalkers. We're in position. We're holding on. Stage Trap's going to be going off here on both sides, on both ends. A Roach run by, gets a gateway. It's something. It is some damage. We can see Dark trying to test the waters here, getting another gateway. He's not turning back around. He's committing a little bit. Astrea, though, doesn't flinch. He doesn't respond with his Colossi. Keeps them at the 4th. And Astrea, he's turtling on 4 bases. And he may have lost 18 workers, but if Astrea is able to get up to around 70 plus workers, able to stabilize here on these 4 bases, then he can get a more terrifying army. As I say that, Dark coming in for a surround. He tries to. Stasis Trap does go off. Lings, they do try to slip into the natural base, but Astrea, he warps in just in time. He's walling off. Astrea, he's losing a couple of workers, but for the most part, he's dealing with this. I spoke too soon. We get into the mineral line. Finally, economic damage is being done. 13 workers go down. But Astrea, he's going to be chasing down these Roaches. He's going to be punishing them. Roaches, Ravagers, they're getting picked off. Expensive losses for Dark. Now, Dark has a bank, but he has to be careful because he has a low drone count. I say low. He's got 70 workers as opposed to 80. His army is designed to trade, but there it is. Now we're droning. Now we are droning up. Dark has recognized he probably needs a better economy here. Plus on range, finishing up infestation bit now on the way. Dark has realized that he cannot break Astrea. Not anymore. He's been trying, but the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to be for Dark if he refuses to tech. So a very mature decision here to work on the infestation bit that grants access to Hive, to Lurkers, Ultras, Greater Spire, Bigger Poison. Dark can go for either one. Because of the range upgrades, he's only got +1 range. He's got +2 melee. He could be tempted to go into Ultras, but there we go. He's investing into +2 range. Lurkers would make sense. That is Hive now in production. Baneling run by towards that third, but it doesn't get in. Connects with the Nexus, but not much else. You can see Astrea walling off, turtling up. I mentioned before that Astrea, his goal here is win condition to turtle on 4 bases and to max out. Then he can think about a 5th. He's just trying to absorb these attacks of Dark. So far, he's pulling it off. The Oracles, they go straight for the Ravagers. They're going to be able to get some of them, but the Banelings are rolling on in. They can go for the Nexus. Nexus is looking very low. Yeah, we're going to be able to crash on 4. The base will go down. We don't kill the workers, but we do kill the base itself. Very nice pickoff. Behind this, Hive is about to finish up. Still no Hydrogen, which is interesting. Because there's no Hydrogen, this is looking more and more like Ultras. Or at least Viper Ultra, but we'll see. Vipers in general will be amazing here to deal with the Colossi, regardless of the ground composition. As here we go, we're diving on forward once again, getting on top of this third base. Banelings, they roll on in, and they're going for the Colossus. Yeah, even without Vipers, it looks like we may just have too much. The Colossus should go down. Colossus does fall. Stalker's being forced back. A good trade here for Dark. With the Hive completing, there we go. We have +3 melee on the way. We have Adrenal Glands as well. No Vipers yet. Darky's already maxed out. Can't really invest into those spellcasters. Not yet. Not yet here, as he's just remaxing, just getting map control. Creep is spreading all over the map. Astrea has just been stuck at home for a little bit too long at this point, and I'm worried that it's going to be a little bit too much to overcome and surpass. Storm has completed for our Protoss player, and here we go. He's finally breaking free with some Zealots, and he gets into the mineral line. Drones are going down. Shouldn't get a kill on the base, though, as the Prism does go straight to the main. Zealots will drop, but Queens are in position. And we should handle this. Banelings roll in, but we have Storms to defend. Do have those Storms available. And yeah, we're still committed to Lingbane Roach Ravager. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm a little bit concerned here that we aren't taking up a little bit further. Even if we don't want to make anything yet, like to have a Spire or to have an Ultra Cavern or even a Hydrogen, like there's value there just to build up those upgrades. But for now, Baneling counterattack, and yo, we can go straight for the mineral line. We can maybe even get the Nexus, and we do! Yeah, plenty of Banelings. The Nexus does go down. There it is. Finally, we have some tech. Ultra Caverns on the way. It makes sense because we were hyper-fixated on +3 attack, +3 melee. So, Ultras are on the horizon. Ultras can sometimes have a hard time engaging. They can have a good time when it comes to fighting on creep, but when it comes to attacking these entrenched positions, Ultras can be a little bit clumsy at times, but you know, we're going to commit, and they're a little bit smaller than they once were. They're a little bit more viable. Storm's going to be zoning back the army. Astrea, he is looking to finally take a 5th base, but at the same time, they come in, they catch a High Templar, going for a surround as well. Ooh. And Astrea, he's being pulled by the High Templar! The Banelings! They roll on forward, and they will connect with the High Templar. They barely do survive. But that's going to be 15, 17 dead workers. We force a cancel on the 5th base. That may have even been a kill. And we have Lings everywhere. They're busting into the main, into the natural, on the 4th base, towards the 3rd. Everything is on fire. Everything is flashing red. And Astrea is all in. There's no turning back. There's nothing to save back at home. He's sending everything across the map. And Astrea, he may just die from elimination. Dark, if he wanted to, he could kill every single building. As there are no probes on the map. Astrea committing, he takes down a hatchery, going for another. Oh, there are probes. There are a couple of workers out of the map. Astrea, he can afford a Nexus. But those probes, they have to be evacuated. They have to get out of there. And they need to throw down a building. There it is. He knows. He sees. No! The Lings, they catch the probes. That was it. That was the only way out. 0 workers left. 0 probes remaining here for Astrea. The buildings are falling left and right. There's 1 pylon left. This is it. The final building, and it's going to go down. Astrea will die to elimination. GG, as he's forced out of the game, and Dark takes game number 1. GG, well played. You don't see too many losses by elimination, but alas, Astrea, he was just in a really tough position there. He was trying desperately to turtle and to take up onto 4 bases, but Side Delta, it's difficult to pull off on. I didn't really get to talk much about it. Side Delta does have very, very spread out bases. Protecting your 3rd and your 4th, as we saw, they are so far apart and it can be so difficult to defend them both at once. Astrea had to rely on splitting up his army efficiently and effectively enough to keep up with the harassment of Dark. He just was not able to. Dark was able to gain too much momentum and never allowed Astrea to really breathe, to really thrive, to get into a good economy, get into a 4th, let alone a 5th. So GG, well played. And with that, Dark does take a lead. A solid game there from him. But now we're going to be getting into game number 2. And it's going to be Astrea's map of choice. And we are getting into Golden Aura. Interesting. Kind of the almost a polar opposite of Side Delta, where on Golden Aura, your bases are much more close together. They're very tight knit. It is much easier to defend on 3 and 4 bases here. You're not as spread out. As a result, we have seen a lot of late game. We've seen a lot of late game on Golden Aura. We've seen a lot of split map scenarios where we have, these 5 base setups versus 5 base setups, or even 6 to 7. The downside here, I was talking to Asher about this earlier today, and I do agree, is that on Golden Aura, in a PvZ split map scenario, it is very difficult for the Protoss to get the fringe bases. To get the bottom left gold and the top right base as well, it does feel very difficult to take those in the super late game. Leading up to late game, like, again, your 4, 5, 6 base setup is a little more stable, but after that, then things can get a little bit tricky. But we'll see. We'll see how Astrea wants to approach this. I know Astrea, he's kind of known for his late game PvZ. Like, we see it so often, especially in the North American regionals, whenever we cast like Astrea versus Scarlet, for example. Like, Astrea, his late game is really good, and we've casted him before against Dark. But can he get there? Can he survive and get up to that kind of 4 base setup? The map here is going to help him. It is going to help him. So we will see. And here we go. We are just going to be getting ready here for our game. Lobby is being set up. We're loading on in. Here we go. Until then, the pressure is on Astrea. I mentioned before, this is a greater best of 7, and 1 more loss, KaiZi will take it. And here we go in top left-hand corner, we have for Matcherino, Astrea. And in the bottom right, we have for Dragon KaiZi Gaming, Dark. Here we go. But again, 1 more loss, and Dragon KaiZi Gaming will take it. Pressure is on Astrea to fight back to give Future a chance. Again, after this series, we still have Future versus Hero. Even if this is a 4-0 in favor of Dragon KaiZi Gaming, Future versus Hero will still play out, but there's going to be a little bit less on the line. They're still going to be playing for standings and for overall map score and for ELO, of course. Like, there are still things on the line, don't get me wrong, but it isn't going to be as impactful because KaiZi would have the secured win at that point. But we'll see. We'll see if we can get there. We'll see if Astrea can put a point on the board. He's just huge. The world shrunk around him. Oh, true. Big, Bobby, big. As Doc is doing something special that he does here on Golden Aura, he is going for a very greedy opener here. He went hatch, before gas, before pool. Crazy. So this is very unique to Dark. So I mentioned before, one of the features of Golden Aura, if you remember, I was talking about how congested these bases are, how close together they are. Because of that, you can get away with stuff like this. Very greedy opener here by Dark. We see this a lot in his ZBTs as well, where he goes for gaseous openers and defends with queens. So the downside here is that, of course, you have a little bit of a later gas, and you have less resources to invest into lings early on. You have to defend with queens. But these bases are so close together that it doesn't take long at all for your queens to rotate between them and to defend. And yeah, Dark just being hyper greedy. The confidence, Bobby, the confidence. Who's playing next? Hero versus Future. TVP. Hero versus Future. But yeah, this is wild. I don't recommend that you do this opener from Dark unless you're Dark. Even on Goldenrod, it's like just a really risky way to risky way to play this out. So yeah, we'll see if Astrea can punish him. Ooh, as Astrea did open up double gate. Let's go. A 2-gate opener out of Astrea. He's making 2 adepts at a time. He's going to be zooming across the map. And his goal here is to punish the greed of Dark. We'll see if he can. We will see if he can. Dark, of course, getting into Ling speed, pulling out completely from gas once he gets 100 or 108. He's going to be focusing on mineral income. Queens are on the way. Lings are being cranked out as well. And can Dark minimize his losses? You can see as well he's focusing on, instead of injecting at the natural, he threw down the tumor. Trying to connect his bases. Adepts, they have arrived. Going to be threatening a shade into the natural. We do not commit. Dark still heavily droning. Or still droning up his natural, but building up lings to defend. And Astrea, he doesn't find too much yet, but we have more adepts on the way. Again, we're making 2 adepts at a time. Oracle was in production. It was a Stargate opener. Astrea is looking to move out. So far, Dark hasn't sustained many losses. Yo, we're going straight for the 3rd as well. Dark, though, Ling speed just finished up. Can he deny it? Not too many Lings. As he does poke in. Interesting. We have an Oracle first into a Phoenix follow-up. Now, this is out of the norm. Phoenix is going to be able to hunt down Overlords and to keep Dark in the dark. But Dark also sees a Phoenix in production. He knows. He's aware. The parade. Spazzing out a little bit, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll get there. As we do have our follow-up, and it's going to be standard. I was hoping that maybe we would go in a different direction, especially with the Phoenix, but no, it's going to be a Forge and a Twilight Council, +1 and Blink are going to be on the way here for Astrea. And we have a second Oracle in production as well. So we should be able to set up. Should be able to get into that mid game. Meanwhile, Dark, he's kind of doing the same thing here. Again, he had a greedier opener, don't get me wrong, but now he's taking all of his gases. We got a 4th base on the way. Ling speed as well. Sorry, Ling speed. Plus on melee for Lings. And once he starts up that lair, we can then get into Roach production. Until then, we just be droning. There it is. Lair now on the way. The game is going to be settling here as we get into our 3 base economies. Astrea going to be dipping out here. He has to be careful. Blink just started, so these Stalkers are quite vulnerable, but they do have the Oracles to support them. They have their Oracles to, activate their Pulsar beams in case the Lings do get us around. But Astrea still has to be very careful. As the lair is underway, there's that Roach Horn we were talking about. Again, ideally you want to get it at the halfway mark so you can start up Roach speed as soon as the lair does finish. And Dark, he was aware that he didn't really need Roaches early on. He was aware that, of course, Astrea would be backing off and just poking and prodding, not committing. So Dark just cutting corners, delaying the Roach Warren. And he gets away with it. Does get away with it. And this time he's droning a little bit harder. Remember, last game, Dark did cut workers at 70. Now he's droning up to 77, just under 80. Ooh, and a much faster infestation pit, actually. Dark, he is being much more tech heavy here. Faster infestation pit, second Evo chamber. This can be for a fast hive. We could even tech in a different direction as well. Meanwhile, Astrea, just like the previous game, that's a second Robo and a Bay for double Colossus production. So Astrea is playing very similarly to the last game. Dark is adjusting. And because this map is much more defendable, we were talking about the differences between Side Delta and Golden Aura, and how Side Delta, because it's so spread out, it's very difficult to defend your third and your fourth at the same time. Meanwhile, the polar opposite here on Golden Aura, very easy to defend your 4 bases. Because of that, Dark, he's teching. He respects the map, he respects his opponent, and he won't waste too many resources making Ling Roach Ravager, harassing, trying to break his opponent. No, wait, Hive. We're just taking him into a Hive towards, you know, a greater, not quite a greater spot, but towards Vipers and maybe even Ultras. I don't think I'm too fond of Ultras on this map. I'd like to see, you know, Hydrolook or Viper even, but we'll see. We'll see what Dark decides to take towards once the Hive is done. We have a bit of harassment. We get 5 drone kills. Not too bad. 5 workers go down, and we have our answer. We have our tech. It is going to be a Spire, not a Hydra Den. Not an Ultra Cavern either. Now, I do appreciate the Spire more so than the Ultra Cavern. Again, I don't think Ultras... I mean, it can just be really difficult to gain value here. Just because of the SimCity and defensive position that you can have as the Protoss on a Golden Aura. So we have the Spire on the way. We can go for a big Muta switch as well. So far unscattered. Oracles, they dip between the bases, but they have not seen anything yet. Oh, not yet, but the Phoenix goes into the main. Dives into the main base. We see the Hive. We see some of the tech structures, but not everything. Meanwhile, it's a Spire alongside an Ultra Cavern. So we have options. We can go into Mutas, Corruptors, Greater Spire, Ultras. The world is Dark's oyster. But before we can talk about our Hive tech, here comes Astrea. He's getting ready for his push. He's got a decent Colossus count. Actually, not going to be committing. He was hoping for an overreaction. He backs off. Ooh. And there's the Greater Spire. Oh boy. We are working towards Broodlords. Broodlords, that would be a great way to, in a way, checkmate Astrea if we can get there. Now, Dark is maxed. He's maxed. He should be looking to trade. He's on 87 workers. He's on 5 bases. Now he's getting a 6th. The 6th is the goal base, by the way, towards the bottom left. So economically, Dark is sitting pretty. Creep-wise, it's okay. He's connecting his bases. He's at the halfway mark. But he does need to trade. He does need to get rid of some of this army to clear up some supply for Corruptors and Broodlords. It's a lot of Ling Bait. Storm not quite done. You can see Astrea taking the defensive position. He does see the army. He was able to spot it with his Oracle. He does see what is coming his way. Does catch some of those Banelings. Ultras in production. We have a couple of Mutas, question mark. I mean, I guess they're going to help when it comes to shutting down this Prism. Astrea working towards +1 air attack. It looks like he is, like, I mean, now that Astrea is on a 4-base economy, remember, this is what he was trying to do in game 1, but he failed because Dark was so aggressive. Here, because of the passivity of Dark, now Astrea, he's maxing out on 4 bases, and now he can tech up into Skytoss. He can now work towards the late game. Astrea has successfully kind of survived to this point. And now we can work towards that Skytoss. We're not there yet. Like, we don't have a fleet beacon. We don't have a second Stargate. We're still hyper-fixated on a ground-based army, but we're working on that next step. Just in case we need it. But now here we go. Now that Astrea's max is pushing out. At the same time, Dark getting ready for some big counterattacks. We have Ling Bane towards the left-hand side. We have Lings towards the right. We're rolling into the Nexus. Ooh, and I think that's enough to take down the Nexus. Lings are going down. Not a good trade for Dark on the right-hand side. He loses so much supply. The Nexus is going to go down. Dark remaxing instantly with Ultras and Lings. And he does break this third. Does break the Nexus. Fleet Beacon, 2 Stargates are on the way. Skytoss on the horizon. And Dark doesn't know. Well, that's a little bit scary. He does have a Greater Spire, but now it's not really about the Broodlords. Now it's about the Corruptors. We're going for a Nidus into the main! The Nidus, and he does spot the Stargates and the Fleet Beacon. He's right on top of them. And Astrea, does he react? Does he see? He doesn't. No. Oh god, the Stalker's not quite in position. He does not notice it in time. Nothing's gonna be coming out. There we go. I was like, do we have anything in the Nidus? Flappy, what's happening? Lings are flooding out into the main base. They're getting a double +3. Looks like +3 is gonna finish, but at least we scout what's happening. We scout the Sky Toss. Dark is now aware. Lings are going to be burrowed as well, being as annoying as possible. At the same time, Lings harassing towards the 3rd and the 4th. We have Ultras knocking down the 5th. Again, Dark just all over Astrea here. It's going to be bleeding out some of these units. Lings and Ultras are going down, but we do get a kill on the 5th Nexus. And another Nidus into the main. These cracklings are doing what they can. Dark forcing Astrea to just, yes, scramble here defensively back at home, rushing in between the bases. Do we get 10 worker kills? The cannon as well. There's another Nidus. They just don't stop. Another Nidus in production. And throughout all of this, Broodlords are on the way. +1 air attack, 2nd Spire for double upgrades. Ultras, they do threaten the 3rd base. Storms do zone them back. Nidus finishes. Not too many Lings though. Yeah, we have the cloak. We have the mothership. We can defend. Now, what's important here is that, one, because these constant Nidus worms, Dark, he sees the production, and he sees that this entire time, nothing was being built by the Stargates. Sure, we have a mothership, and we have Fleet Beacon and Stargates and +1 air attack, but Dark, he sees that he doesn't need Corruptors. He confirms that he doesn't need to be making any anti-air yet. So he knows he's safe to make Broodlords. Or he knows that the correct answer right now is to make Broodlords. He's aware that Astrea is still committed to a ground-based army. Stalker's going to be coming in, shaving off some of these overlords. Oh, we still have a burrowed Bailing in the main. No, we go for the mineral line. Not enough, though. Not enough to kill the probes. Lings come in, they shut down the shield batteries. Nidus this time is going to go down, but Astrea, he's been stuck at home. He's been maxed out for quite some time. We have 3 more Stargates on the way. I think that's 5 in total. But he just hasn't been able to move out. He hasn't been able to do much of anything. As a result, Dark, he's getting away with this economically. Just remaxing over and over again, taking up into Broodlords. Taking control of the map. Now, Astrea does have his 5th on the way. His 5th is in production. It's been killed twice at this point, but we're getting there. We are getting there, as that Broodlord cannon is looking quite impressive. We have 8 Broodlords so far, 7 Corruptors. Void Ray production has commenced, or I should say Flux Veins has commenced as an upgrade, which is Void Ray speed. Corruptors, they do come across that prism. I believe the Broodlords have yet to be revealed. They have been done for quite some time, but I don't think Astrea has seen them. 5th base is up, still not operational, but it is up for the time being. Got a wall of cannons, a wall stack defense. Astrea getting in position at his 5th, let alone does he, but little does he know that his 4th is up next. Here we go, Dark, he's revealing his Broodlords. Tempest, they start immediately, but they take a long time to build. Here we go, big storm here on the army, on the Ling Bane, good connections. Good storms on that army. But the Ultras, they just tank the storms to the face. They're getting on top of the High Templar, and the Broodlords, they can just keep on pushing as well. Nidus into the main base. And Dark is hoping to try to pull Astrea apart. Can he pull it off, though? The Ultras, they're pushing towards that 5th base, but with the help of the stack defense, I think Astrea can hold. He should be able to clean up those Ultras. And it looks like he barely will. Ultras going down, clutch transfuse on some of these Broodlords, but the Stalkers, they're working through them. Where's the support? We need more than just Queens. We need Lings, we need Ultras, and the Broodlords are being cleaned up. Expensive losses here for Dark. He loses so many Ultras and Broodlords in the blink of an eye. And Dark, what are we remaxing on? What are we remaking? Where do we go from here? Ultras. Yeah. Carrier production has commenced, so Dark should be aware that he needs to preserve these Corruptors, but he's bleeding them out. And that attack, that assault from Dark wasn't really worth it. He barely touched the economy of Astrea. There was a lot of chaos, but maybe I spoke too soon. The Link counterattack. The cannons are gone. We're getting a pause. Oh, hopefully everything is okay. But the cannons weren't rebuilt at that 5th base. This Link counterattack is huge, by the way. There's a lot of potential for damage. We could just eviscerate that mineral line and get on top of the Nexus. At the same time, this denies into the main base. Corruptor production is continuing. And Dark is still in the driver's seat because of his bank. Because he still has a bank, he's able to remax once again. And Astrea, there's still a lot of pressure on him to defend. Hopefully everything's okay as we are getting ready to go back in. We do load back into the game. Ooh, and here we go. 11 workers are going to be going down. Lings, they are being dealt with here at the 5th. They did kill a mineral line, and here come the Ultras towards the left-hand side, going straight for another base. Lings just wreaking havoc here in almost every single base of Astrea. But Astrea, he recalls over. He keeps up with the Ultras. But what about the Lings? And meanwhile, the Corruptors are going ham. They get the mothership. Minus 300. That's a kill on the 4th. And the Ultras, they clean up at the 3rd. Finally, they're going to be forced back. And Dark isn't done. We have more Ling reinforcements coming in towards that 5th. He killed the mineral line, and he wants the base itself. He wants the Nexus. He's catching more rallying probes. The probes, they're going down. GG gets called. It just becomes far too much. And Dark will take the 2-0. GG, well played. Oh my god. Astrea, he was successfully able to max out this time. Like, he was able to max out, get up to 4 bases. You know, Dark just left him alone initially. But by the time Astrea maxed out, he wanted to push, he wanted to attack, but he couldn't, because that was when Dark was finally being active with Ling counterattacks, with Ultra run-bys as well, and with the Nidus Worms. And even though Astrea was maxed for like a couple of minutes there, he was just stuck at home. He was stuck at home, could not push out, could not really assert himself, and yeah, as a result, Dark was just in the driver's seat once again. Eventually, of course, taking up and pulling apart his opponent. Astrea trying to get into Skytoss towards the end, but it was too little too late. Skytoss takes too long to get into, and GG. GG, well played. Dragon KaiZi Gaming will be taking the series, but we still have one best of 2 left. It's going to be a win for DKZ, but it could be a 4-0, it could be a 4-2, could be a 6-0, could be a 5-1. There is still a chance for Future to put some points on the board. Unfortunately, there's no way for Matcherino to win this series, but map scores are important, especially when it comes to the standings, especially when it comes to the end of the round robin stage. The round robin stage ends next week. I think in 2 weeks. There's 11 rounds of WTL, and we are nearing the end of the tournament. We're nearing the end of the round robin stage. And here we go. Getting ready for our final best of 2. A TVP. Vámonos. I say, guy in the chat, guy. Big shout out to iScar in the chat. Thank you so much for all the work you do. One of the lovely ESL admins. I did see Sinistro earlier. Sinistro, he was dropping by in the chat with the chiquiritas. Bienvenidos. Fala galera, papi. Fala galera. As we are getting ready, game 1 is going to be on Alkyone between Future and Hero. Again, Future looking to fight back for his team, for himself, to have a better score leading into the playoffs. And here we go in the bottom right-hand corner. Oh, of Oceanborn. Looks like the graphic was a little bit wrong. Of Oceanborn, we have Future from Matcherino. And in the top left, we have for Dragon KaiZi Gaming, it is Hero. Here we go again, the final best of 2 here of this series. We're here, we made it. 'Tis upon us. And we'll see if Future can fight back. We'll see if he can get some points on the board here for his team. I do want to believe. SCV is going to be moving out. So far, it looks like we have a Rax Expand setup here. Future are going to be avoiding that probe. We've seen this before. I mentioned at the time on Oceanborn specifically, this is very common to go for an eBay block. It's going to be an eBay block here at the natural. It's so easy to punish an unnatural natural on Oceanborn, and I worry for Hero because Hero doesn't get eyes on this, and he will not deny the eBay. Oh boy. Which means Hero is going to be forced to expand at a third base location, and Future is going to be looking to punish him. Oh boy. And there we go. The SCV even trying to force out the linear third base as well. Again, the Future being as annoying as possible. There it is. The Nexus is thrown down here out in the open. This center base is so exposed. Now, the goal here should be for Future to go for a factory reactor on the racks, and then we go for an add-on swap. That should be the build here from Future. We saw... to do force a cancel on the eBay. We saw Hon Mono do this as well, but no, never mind. Okay, so typically we would see a prioritization on the factory and a prioritization of the Hellions, but no, Future is going for a Rax expand into a second Rax. Okay, this is unique. This is different. He's 3-Raxing. Okay, Papi. You have my attention. So he does force Hero to have an awkward opener at least, but yeah, this 3-Rax follow-up is a lot more peculiar. This is going to be a very strong bio timing with Stim. It looks like Future is more concerned about being unpredictable. He wants to be unpredictable. It's very common to go into Hellions and Cyclones to try to punish that base. But we'll see if Hero can get a read of what's going on. He sees the CC on the low ground. He sees the Marine production. He also confirms that the reactor hasn't been swapped onto a factory. So he's already got a good idea of what's happening. He doesn't have confirmation, but again, he's on the right track. Thank you for your work. Oh, thank you, Iska. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Always, Matty, always. Yeah, we casted the IEM qualifiers earlier today. We just wrapped up with the SC2 online open tournament as well, and now we're right into WTL. And then Bedge, then we have a nap for a couple of hours, and then the IEM closed qualifiers for North America tomorrow. Oh, the StarCraft. Let's go. We're okay. We're fine. As we do get eyes on continued Marine production here of Future. Again, for those that are curious, the 3-Rax, we're building up a Marine count, and we're going to be hitting a time with Stim. We should be pushing without Medivacs. This is without factory-based units, without a starport. This is not all in, but this is still committed, and this still has to get damage done. Behind this, then you work towards your Medivac production, towards your eBay +1 attack, and your upgrades and all that good stuff. There it is. Factory is now on the way. But Future should be pushing before that, as he's still just building himself back up. There's that eBay here on the low grounds behind that mineral line. Hero just trying to get a read on the overall Marine counts. I love that he's being active with his Stalkers. This is best case scenario, by the way, for Hero. Something that's unfortunate is that Future hasn't scouted the tech, and now he has. Blink Stalkers have arrived. If Future was aware of these Stalkers of the Twilight Council opener, then he would have gone into Marauders. You can see instantly Marauder production here from Future, but this is late. We would have already seen them if he was able to get a Reaper scout earlier. Pure Marine gets completely shut down. The reason for this, Stim is finishing up. If Future tried to push now, these Stalkers would kite the hell out of Future, and Future would lose half his army. Half his army just trying to walk across the map. Again, he's trying to line up his Stim, trying to dive on top of this, but you can see these Stalkers just bullying the Marines. And Future just cannot push. Behind this, Hero is getting into a Robotics Bay. Colossus production, third Nexus is on the way as well. And Future, he's just stuck at home. Again, just really unfortunate. He was kind of banking a lot on a Stargate opener. I don't blame him. For those that are wondering, if you force an unnatural natural from the Protoss player, it is very common to go for a Stargate to get into Phoenixes. Just because you need Phoenixes to actually defend your bases, just because it's so spread out. And Phoenixes, obviously, they avoid like ground terrain and ground obstacles, so they're a little bit more fluid when it comes to defending your two bases, despite being so far apart. So I do think that Future was gambling, and he was hoping that his opponent would go for a Stargate, and he was trying to punish it, but Yeah, with these Stalkers, you can see that Future is now working on his medevacs. Still stuck at home on 2 bases. He's bleeding out a couple of Marines. And essentially from here, Future is hitting a later timing. He has to wait for +1, concussive shell, and medevacs. When he gets his medevacs out, then he can push. Meanwhile, oh, that's a kill on the bunker. Salvage a little bit late there from Future as he dives on forward. He will get a kill on the observer. Not a bad pickup. Not bad whatsoever. As again, Hero still being so meticulous with his control here, as annoying as possible, as active as possible with these Stalkers. He hasn't lost any Stalker yet. And again, he wants to pick off Marines, a Marauder if possible, maybe even a medevac. That would be huge. And here we go. With the arrival of these medevacs, Future is pushing. He's getting a 3rd CC behind this, so he's not all in. This is not a 2-base all in, but still very committed. Oh. As we do kill 1 Marine before blinking the hell out of there. And again, because of the Marauders, Hero has to respect this, but here come the sentries and the first Colossus. Future sims on forward, goes for the dive. Good force fields here on the army. We have the overcharge as well, keeping the Colossus alive, and Future's army is melting. Looks like he may get 1 Colossus here on the high ground. He gets 1. Not a bad pickoff as he just stims in towards the natural base as well. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, he's actually gaining ground. He's pushing towards the 3rd. This is a really awkward angle, like camera angle. This is I don't know what's happening. There we go. It's gonna be 5 worker kills. We did kill 1 Colossus as well, but that was most of the army of Future. Most of the army spent there, and now Hero, he's trying to go for a bit of a counterattack. I think, is he moving out with his Colossi? I'm not certain. But he's moving out with a big chunk of his army, keeping a couple of Stalkers back at him. He's moving out with the Colossi. A very bold move. Catches some Widow Mines. Here come the reinforcements. Charge lots are out. Meanwhile, Future, no fear. He doesn't turn back with those drops. He commits. The medevacs. No, one of them so low. Oh, God, it's so incredibly low. Does unload in the end. Future denying mining, killing some probes. Here comes his main army. He wants to try to dive on top of the Colossus. Wants to try to catch Hero off guard. We have plenty of zealots though. The Colossi, they're safe and sound. They swipe away at the army. But we get 16 probe kills. Oh my God. Not too bad. 16, 17 workers go down compared to the 11 SCVs of Future. But the boys have to be pulled. The Colossus have arrived. Can we dive on them? The Colossi kiting back. 1 goes down. Big pickoff, but we're getting every single SCV. 25 workers go down. Future trying to go for the dive once again, but here come the reinforcements. Zealots and Stalkers. The Colossus barely survives, barely holds on. Oh, it does go down to the... Was that a Widow Mine? It just exploded out of nowhere. Oh my God, but it's still too much anyway. GG gets called. And Hero will take game number 1. GG. A solid game there out of Hero, recognizing what was going on after a really scary start where Hero was forced to expand in a really exposed location. I'm sure he was maybe concerned that his opponent would try to take advantage of him, but Hero, no fear, going into a Twilight Council, going to Blink, being very active with his Stalkers, and Future's 3 racks was lackluster. It was a lackluster 3 racks just because it didn't really get much done, wasn't able to move out, did just lose a lot of momentum early on, and had to wait a little bit longer to get into Marauders and even medevacs once he realized what was happening. And by the time he pushed, it was too late. We already had Colossus. GG. And with that, we are getting ready for game number 2. It's going to be Future's map of pick, map of choice. It's his map pick. Wait, it's getting late, Papi. It's getting late. It's 1 a.m., Papi. 1 a.m. We'll get there. We'll get there. It is going to be his map of choice, and we're going to be loading in the Hard Lead. Hard Lead is up next. Very short rush distance. Very small map. One of the shortest rush distance maps in the map pool. Future maybe looking for some aggression here. Now, we have seen some 2-base all-ins out of Future. We've even seen some 1-base all-ins out of Future. We've seen some Cheese, some Bruxy. This is the map for it. And here we go. In the bottom right-hand corner, we have the American Terran player from Matcherino Esports. It is Future. And in the top left, we have his opponent. We have, for Dragon KaiZi Gaming, Hero. Leading the series 1-0. There we go. SCV already moving out across the map. Now, this could be another eBay block. Could very much so. But we are going through the center, though, and we are going to be hiding here at the middle patch. This is looking like a proxy Rax. Oh, let's see. So we do head on over. There it is. The Rax has been thrown down. I believe there's only one SCV. So, yeah, only one SCV is out on the map. So we're not going for a proxy 2 Rax or anything like that. We are taking gases. So this isn't going to be... Yeah, this could go a couple of different directions. This could be proxy Marauder, actually. Could be Marauder. Could be a Reaper initially. Probe does miss the Scout. Gases are being prioritized. They are being taken. This could just be a Reaper to get some economic damage early on to get like 1 or 2 probe kills, leading into eventually an expansion, or we could commit to Marauders. And we'll see here once the Rax does finish up. Probe Scout comes in, does confirm that the Rax is missing, and also gets eyes on both gases as well. And there it is, we have our answer. It is in fact Reaper, not Marauder. It's going to be proxy Reaper here again, which means future should be transitioning. We should be seeing a factory back at home and a CC as well. There it is. There's that factory and the full wall off. So this opener is again just designed to get a bit of economic damage done. Or as I say, that bunker is on the way. If this can finish, then we will delay a lot of mining at the natural base of Hero. Zealot was forced out. Stalker's on the way as well. Reaper has arrived and is going to be threatening the main, but that is where the Zealot is. Zealot in position in the main base to try to zone back that Reaper. So far, good control. We do save one of those probes. Oh, but he wants it. He's going in. He's going for the probe, and he will get it. One probe goes down, but oh, the surround is upon us. Oh my god, the Reaper. Future. Fappy. That was a very lubed up Reaper. That was I just slid on past the workers, somehow slipped by all the probes, gets into the bunker. Bunker does finish. Oh, we're kind of trying to catch some of these reinforcements, but no, the Marine does get in, and now we're floating back home. Now, something important's happening here. Outside of just the bunker denying mining time, we have shield batteries on the way. Back at home, no CC. Future did not throw down the third CC. He went for a 1-1 follow-up. He went for a starport instead of the CC. So very aggressive follow-up here from Future. Now he's going for the base, but this is a very late expansion from the Terran. Hellion's going to be coming in. It's going to be a salvage on the bunker. Reaper slips into the main. So does the Hellion. We're going for some more probes. Oh, can we get them? It's so close. He wants the probe. He doesn't get it. The probe barely survives. It's on 1 HP. Around 1 HP. And this is our answer. We now see why Future is committing this hard. He lost a lot of units already. Armory. Armory is on the way, so a very committed Widowmine drop. Just not your standard Widowmine drop, but yeah, with the Armory, that means that detection is required. We will need detection to deal with these Widowmines, Observer, Oracle, Cannons, what have you. We need something. And we do have a Robo on the way. We have potentially, or we have access to Observers. Until then, here comes the Mine Drop. And there is a lot of potential with this Mine Drop, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get that damage done. As the drop is going to be headed towards the bases of Future. Widowmine's right for the main. Again, pointing out that the armory is done. We do get a surround, and the mine shots. Ooh, they do go off. 2 workers go down, and now we realize, oh, we need detection. As Hero, I'm sure, recognizes that he cannot kill these Widow Mines. Robo is just not finishing up, and Observer is going to be on the way, and we get another mine drop towards the natural. Now, I believe these Widow Mines are going to reset. Yep, the Widow Mines in the main will reset. They will get another shot off, and Hero needs to recognize that, and he does pull back. Does pull back in time. Mine shots, they will go off. Once again, only getting 2 more workers. Meanwhile, the mine drop in towards that natural. We do react in time. Ooh, big connection. 7 probes go down. Very nicely done here by Future. Even saves 2 Widow Mines here at the natural as well. 12 in total. After losing so much early on, like the Hellion, the Reaper, the SCV as well, Future, he needed to find some damage, and he did. he did, even saving those Widow Mines. Did I speak too soon? The Stalkers, they're on the hunt, Papi. Blink is done. We're looking for the medevac. Oh, and it looks like we will get some damage done. We don't quite get the kill. Not quite yet. As the Widowmine does escape. Thankfully, it does slip away. Meanwhile, we do have a hero just stabilizing here on 2 bases. Again, getting the rest of his Stalkers up and running. Going to be applying some pressure across the map as well, and is going to be able to get some SCVs. Can even threaten a dive into the main. Just need some high ground vision. We do have it! The Observer does arrive, and we could try to snipe Stim. Yeah, his eyes, they're on the add-ons. They're going for the Reactor. A little bit more secure damage here from Hero. He will get a kill. Reactor goes down. For a Stalker, though. Bit of miscontrol from Hero. He's going to be losing a Stalker. But from here, good control. We don't lose much else. We get the Reactor and the Marines. Not a bad trade for Hero. Behind this, looks like we have our splash damage of choice. This time, no Colossi. This time, no Colossi. This time, it's going to be a Templar Archives for Archons. I imagine for Storm. Getting to charge. Big feedback. Oh, the feedback does have more range than Stalkers. Does shut down that medevac. Yeah, just pointing out the feedback. Storm is on the way, as we mentioned. Again, that is the splash damage of choice here for Hero. But it just now started. And Future, he is looking to move, looking to break free. Third CC is on the way. He's not going for a 2-base all-in. Not going for the all-in. Just going for that command center. Now, he can, of course, still push. But as he takes a third, so is Hero. Hero's third is late, is what I will say. It's a very delayed third base because we prioritize so much tech beforehand. So as a result, Hero, he's actually not as far ahead as he otherwise could have been. We're just getting our bases up and running. Storm is finishing. Hero just going for a much more safer playstyle, essentially. Meanwhile, he does get eyes on the move outs. Wants a medevac. Doesn't get it. Future gonna move on out from here. Marines, Marauders. Dive in between the bases. Charge. The Storm is done. Not a bad connection. Not bad here, but the tank does siege up, forcing back Hero. Hero forced him off the overcharge as well. We have another Storm. Does connect here on Future. And it looks like Hero, he may just have a bit too much, especially with these reinforcing Immortals. Do have a good chunk of Marauders, though. They can take some Storms to the face. That's 11 Marauders. Here we go. We're stimming on in. Oh, good blink. Good blink out of Hero. The Immortal is looking quite exposed. Prism coming in. It cannot save it. The Immortal goes down, but we have another Storm. Does soften up those Marauders, but you can see how much damage they deal to the Stalkers. Like, these Marauders, they're just going uncontested. But here come the Zelts, forcing some friendly fire. That tank's still getting a lot done. There's the Storm. Oh my god, we finally bring down the Marauders. They were so low from earlier. Big chunk of Marauders go down. That Future does still have that supply lead. Mine Shield's going to be going off. We dive on top of the tanks as well. We take some mines to the face, though. Not the cleanest trade from Hero, but he does force it back. As these mines, they're resetting. Oh my god. Do we have one more? Oh, not quite. It's a lot of winter mines. Observers coming back, and we will clean this up. Oh, but one more Widow Mine is going to reset. Oh, High Templar. 2 High Templar go down. Value Mine Shot. Oh my god. Very nicely done. Yeah, the Observer, he likes it. He likes the mine. It was a good shot. Very good. Took down, the High Templar. He likes it, but took down the High Templar, and with that, Hero cannot push out. I'm sure he would have loved to have gone for a big counterattack with some Storms, but alas, not going to be able to. Future, meanwhile, getting up and running here on 3 bases. Ghost Academy is on the way. A bit of an exposed academy at the third, but on the way nonetheless. We have some turrets here in the main just to deny any kind of drop play. And Future, he's in a pretty good position. He's ahead in the economy. He's even on bases. Hero doesn't have a fourth. We already spoke about it. He had a late third. And now likewise a late fourth. The storm drop into the mineral line. The storms have arrived and oh my god. Massive connections. 8 SCVs go down and a lot of them are battered and bruised. Hero, he needed something to go his way, and yeah, he's able to put a dent in the economy of Future. Future is looking for that medevac, doesn't find it. Goes for the stim, but nothing there. Zilla run-by is being set up. Prism is racing back home. Stalkers are moving out just to vie for control of the Zelnaga and maybe poke in, maybe slow down the army, or even force a stim. You can see Future trying to commit. Is spotted by the observer. Hero sees everything. As he sees the army moving out, he can pull the trigger on that Zealot counterattack. The storms are coming in. The feedback's even on the... Oh my god, on the ghosts. No EMPs. Future, he just shook his head. Yeah, he's going to have to back off. Storm on the medevacs of all things. Get some damage done. Not ideal, but not nothing. We can see Hero finally taking his fourth base. Fourth is on the way. Here comes that Zealot runway. We were talking about SCVs are going down. Boys are being pulled, but into the Zealots, not like this. Yeah, that's going to be 6, maybe even 7 SCVs going down here. On top of the storm drop that we had earlier, Future's economy is hurting. It is hurting. There's a lot of recovering to do. Army pushing on forward. Big storms on... Oh my god, massive storms on the Marines. Oh my god, one more storm and this army is just gonna crumble. Yeah, just forces him just to escape. So much of this army on 1 HP. And Future, he's on the back foot. He is up in supply, don't get me wrong. But again, one storm and suddenly so much of the supply is just gonna fall. Future has to back off. He has to retreat. Trying to recoup his losses here at his 4th base. Mine shot's going to be going off. And there we go. Future going to try to take a fight here outside at his 3rd. The storms. Storm though once again on the army. Hero is going to have to try to engage once. Oh my, once again, the storms. They just don't miss. They just don't miss for Hero. And unfortunately for Future. As he has to retreat, still just building up his ghost count once again. Still on these 3 bases, which for the time being is okay. Going for a mine drop at the same time. Hero, he's getting his 4th up and running though. That's what concerns me. Hero, he's rotating towards the left-hand side. We're just pointing out the upgrades. Future working on 3-2, Hero on 1-1. But it may not even matter. So here we go. Hero, he dives on the army. He gets on top of some of these ghosts. 3 ghosts go down. The Colossi, they just swipe away at this bio army as well. You have a couple of Vikings in the mix. But not enough to really close the gap and dive. Well, the mine drop has potential. We're going to get some workers. But alas, Hero is focusing on the main fight instead. Storms, they graze the army this time, and we don't really have a lot to protect the Colossus. We need another wave of Zealots. We need something to buffer. 9 probes go down. Future dealing an economic blow here to Hero. Not too bad. So we're just pointing out that the medevac did go down to the cannon. Hero trying to build up here. Just Future likewise licking his wounds. Throwing down a sensor tower. 3-2 is going to kick in. Again, the upgrade advantage, Poppy. It's going to be huge here for Hero. Sorry, for Future. Gauge of Vikings, Ghosts. I'm worried that there's still no CC. Like, Hero, he's getting a 5th base. 5th Nexus is on the way. Whereas Future, his economy is hurting, but he has a large army. Like, he's up in supply. He's got 125 army supply, which means we're pretty committed. It means that we don't really have a big economy to, like, sustain this if a fight goes awry. Here we go. We're pushing on forward. Do get some damage done here on one of the Colossi. Storm zones Future back. It's going to rotate around. Looking for another way in. Does leave one wine behind, but it does get cleaned up. Storm's going to be going off zoning more than anything. They're really dealing too much damage. I believe we have one Storm left. Yeah, the Viking count getting a little bit higher, but we have 4 Colossi. Oh my god. And we only have 5 Vikings. Big EMPs on the army. Still one Storm. Zones back the bio. We cannot chase. Not up the ramp. But we can go for the 4th base. We're going to be catching some of these reinforcements, but that Nexus, it's going to go down. A nice pick off here from Future. Especially considering that he's on a 3-base economy. But he needs to get more done. One of the Colossus falls. Vikings doing well for themselves. They get the Prism. But Hero, he's on the retreat. Oh my god. As Future does take some of those Colossus hits to the face. Widowmines are resetting. Hero, he recalls his probes. He keeps them alive. Does keep his workers alive. He has a backup 4th base, essentially. Meanwhile, Future is long distance mining, and that is the main. That is the main of Future floating over as a 4th. And hey, that can work. That can work. We saw a very similar game state earlier today with Homono and Cristiano. But for now, Future, again, he's getting his economy back up and running. Despite being on a low worker count, he has a fresh mining base. 3-3 on the way for Future. Hero, can he overcome this? Disruptor production has commenced. He doesn't have a disruptor with his main army yet, but we're getting there. Here we go. Hero, he's going to be pushing right through the center. At the same time, Widowmines, they're waddling in. There is a cannon, though. Ooh, one Widowmine goes down. One shot goes off. 4 probes. Pretty good damage. But the mines are shut down. And Hero, he still wants to push in into this concave. This concave of 3, soon to be 3-3 bio. But yeah, there's no turning back from this. Not from Hero. He wants to commit. He wants to push in. Decent EMPs, but we have some storms as well. Decent storms from Hero. He does pull back to the safety of the army. We have a reinforcing disruptor. The Nova's going to be going off. The storms, they do connect. Disruptor goes down. And Future, too many storms to the face. Massive storms even, and he barely has an army left. It's so battered and so bruised. There isn't much left over from the Protoss, but it's just too much. GG gets called. Future has been broken. And Hero will take the 2-0. But that wasn't the cleanest 2-0, especially game number 2. Future, he had certain advantages. He had certain leads. His upgrades were beautiful. His economy was lacking. And because of his lacking economy, he had a hard time keeping up supply-wise, keeping up with his trades. That was hurting him. But yeah, that wasn't a bad game. That was not a bad game at all out of Future. GG, well played. Dragon KaiZi Gaming, though, they do come in with the 6-0. Big win for DKZ. With that, we are going to be going on a short break. That was our first best of 7 in the books, and we have another after the break. It's going to be the Platinum Heroes versus Psystorm Gaming. See you soon.